early upload today because, well, late last night, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 a.m. Eastern, and 6 a.m. in the UK, Modern Warfare's delayed update 1.18 dropped, bringing with it a hefty amount of changes to basically every avenue of the game, including MP, Spec Ops, and Warzone. In this video, we're going to break down everything you need to know, every single change you can expect to see, and all that came along with the update. So, that said, as we go along, what do you think of some of these changes? Right, wrong, good, bad, whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts on how you feel about them. As well, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare and Warzone on a daily basis, especially if you're part of that nearly 64% of viewers who are not subscribed, so you don't miss a single thing. But anyways, there's a ton to talk about, so let's jump into it. First things first, this is a title update, meaning that you will need to download this. Hopefully it doesn't take it too long. I know that title updates can sometimes be a pain for players with slower internet, and especially with some reports of locations, like a report I saw from Sony lowering speeds, that could be a huge pain. But once you jump into the game, once you finally get it downloaded, you'll load up the game and see a bunch of front-facing changes. For that, let's start out with MP. On the MP side, we can talk about the new map, the new operator, new playlists, and the new technical changes that came along with it. Firstly, let's start out with the big one, the new map, Condor Hideout. This one's a lot closer quarters than a lot of the other maps out there. It's got a couple of lanes that are longer lines of sight, but you'll see that a lot of the action is pushed towards the middle and a little bit more CQB. Overall, the couple of games that I played on it, it wasn't too bad, but what I do like about it is the aesthetic of it. It's pretty bright, it's pretty appealing to look at, and is one that I'm excited to see how this will play in the general grand scheme of things. Whether or not this is the next shoot house, the next shipment, the next Hackney yard, I have no idea. We'll see how it's perceived in the next coming days, but for the most part, I didn't mind it all that much firstly jumping into it. So as we'll mention here in just a second, there is a 24/7 playlist with it. You can try it out for yourselves, but it's available for all players right now. Next, the new operator of Talon is introduced here with this for 2,400 COD points, as with how we saw Mace introduced, how we saw Nikto introduced last season. So he's the final operator of Season 2. He comes along with the Black Bear AK-47 variant, the Elk Rut 1911, the Ursa Minor Watch, the Blood Oath Melee, the Fall Colors calling card, the Indiana Emblem, the later Quip, the Sikkim finishing move, which actually does bring out that doggo named Indiana, and then 2 tier skips. Honestly, I'm really tempted just because of the weapon blueprints. Those were actually really cool in my opinion, but that's a new piece on offer, and we'll come back to the shop stuff later on to finish out the rest of it, but he's a new centerpiece here for this update. As for playlists and MP, we end up seeing Ground War, Gunfight, Hideout 24/7, which is Condor Hideout, the new map 24/7, Shot in the Dark, and Mercenary Mosh Pit. Now, Shot in the Dark is infected but NVG, but with a limited NVG. Survivors have a thermal sight and as well an NVG goggle, but with a limited battery, so it's something that will be a lot darker of play. The infected can see in the dark, but there's realism damage on top of it, so headshots are definitely crucial. Finally, switching over to the stuff that we can talk about in the MP side before we jump over into Warzone and the rest of the updates changes. With the technicals, we saw some changes to the weapons, field upgrades, some general fixes, and some PC specific changes. For weapons, we actually saw new caliber conversions and ammunition modification for the Model 680, and actually 4 of them. We ended up seeing the 12 gauge 6R magazines, the Slug 6R mags, the Dragon's Breath rounds, and the Dragon's Breath 6R mags. Now, the 12 gauge 6R mags increase your aim down sight speed, as well coming along with a detachable magazine with a net negative in the movement speed. This one's unlocked by getting 10 kills while prone and defending an objective. The Slug 6R mags increase ADS speed and damage range, again coming with a detachable magazine, sacrificing movement speed and damage radius. This one unlocked by getting 5 kills in 5 different matches while aiming down sights and removing any stock attachment. The Dragon's Breath rounds give you a net positive of incendiary damage, so fire shotguns are unfortunately back, but it sacrifices some damage range. This is unlocked by getting 15 kills shortly after reloading, and then finally the Dragon's Breath 6R mags increase the ADS speed and also offer incendiary damage with a detachable magazine while sacrificing movement speed and damage range. This one being unlocked by getting 3 long shot kills in 3 different matches while using the Scout optics. All 4 of these can be unlocked at your own pace, as opposed to the Uzi, which we recently saw introducing 2 attachments where you had to do them in one specific order. Next, we saw an increase to the max travel time for the crossbow bolts from 3 seconds to 6 seconds for longer distance shots, meaning that it will take a little bit longer for those to land. Then for bolt action weapons, we saw that the rechamber will no longer be re-triggered if interrupted after the round has been ejected. This is mainly seen in weapon swapping, and what you'll see on screen right now is some footage of what this looks like, where it's just an unrealistic amount of times you'd have to rechamber a round. You could essentially go through all of your ammo, but it would still count as only 1 bullet. So that animation animation has been fixed if you end up swapping your weapon with that. And then the last change made on the weapon side is that it removed an inaccurate attachment description for the Solo Zero NVG enhanced scope, in which it said optic glint visible to enemies. For the perks, we saw some adjustments to Amped as well as EOD. Amped increased the reload speeds for the Strela P, Pila, and Joker. You can see some side-by-side comparisons on screen right now, showcasing what those looked like before and after, giving a little bit of an adjustment there with it post-patch, which this change with Amp is actually the long-awaited change that we needed with the Strela P. If you didn't know, before this update, if you had Amped or if you didn't have Amped, it didn't matter. The reload speed was actually exact same with the Strela P, but now there's actually a big advantage to having it. It actually almost seemingly altered the entire reload animation to kind of cut out an entire chunk. So this is a big change that's been a long time coming, and I'm happy to see it finally introduced. EOD saw some damage resistant fixes as well as some tuning. It fixed an issue where thermite equipment was not showing the damage resistance icon even though the damage was being applied. And as well, stuck thermites and thermite bolts no longer have their damage reduced. On the side of field upgrades, Field Upgrade Pro now fixed the case where failed field upgrade placements would cause the equipment to be used. The tack insert added a broken tack insert icon to show when a tack insert was destroyed. Deployable cover had a few changes in which shotguns now destroy the cover in 3 melee hits. It added damage stats for vehicles and thermite damage, and as well fixed the bug where placing cover on a door 2 times would allow that door to be moved. The EMP drone now allows for the drone to be used at the start of a new round in multi-round modes, and stopping power doubled the amount of stopping power rounds given to akimbo weapons. As for some general MP fixes, we saw the tack insert in the crawl space on Rust spawning players elsewhere has finally been fixed. Daily challenge rewards duplicating instead of giving XP has been fixed, and some kill cam adjustments have been made where it shows weapon and equipment counts being orange to denote stopping power and dead silence being shown if active. For PC specific changes, stuns are no longer as intense, and there were some fixes made to prevent crashes and improve stability a little further. Jumping over to the Warzone side of things, we end up seeing that there's a couple of things we can talk about. Firstly, new modes, new weapons, some larger changes, and then some technical fixes. For the new modes, firstly, we have Plunder Blood Money. This is the only new mode added in as it stands right now, in which the difference between this and standard Plunder is that you get guaranteed cash drops on all kills. As well, bounty contracts and finishing moves pay extra cash. So it's kind of a novelty addition. I don't think that I'll be playing too much of it, but it's there for the Plunder fan base as a slight tweak on the existing mode. Right now, we still haven't seen the introduction of duos, quads, or fives just yet, unfortunately, so that may be perhaps coming in the next update, maybe the Season 3, as we saw some love for Battle Royale first, then now with Plunder, and then maybe back to Battle Royale with the next update. Then, in the world of Warzone, we see some new weapon spawns. No longer is it just weapons like your SCAR, MP7, MG, Model 680, and a few others as ground spawn loot, and in chest spawns, the 725 shotgun, Mark II carbine, EBR-14, and 50 GS are now available on ground spawns and as well in chests. So this doesn't change a whole lot about the game minus perhaps the early game engagements, but it seems to showcase that more are in fact coming. It's just seemingly a matter of time until the additions are actually made. Other large changes include players who disconnect while in last stand now have that kill credit given to whoever downed that player. This also will then see them drop their items instead of it just disappearing. So if you down somebody and they rage quit, you get their loot plus the kill credit. So that's a big fix and an awesome one at that. Loadout drops got, I guess you could say, nerfed a little bit. They're available at the buy station now for 8,500 cash instead of the previous 6,000. And I think that this is a change. I don't think that we were going to ever see the perfect balance struck with just one update and one change to this. That's going to be something that takes a little bit of time. Is it quite to where I'd like to see it, or maybe others would like to see it? I don't think so, but again, that's where we come back to. This is only the first adjustment here with it. They're going to take the feedback that they get from this adjustment and then see if they need to make more in time, but I do think it's a step in the right direction on making the game not so dependent upon loadout drops. Additionally, there's a few new button layouts as well for Warzone in particular, where you have the bumper ping and the bumper ping flipped layouts. So it'll make for some nice versatility and a little bit more in terms of variations of play if people don't want to use just simply the default systems for pinging and such. As for some technical changes on the Battle Royale side, it reduced the amount of cash that was given if you avert a bounty. So if you end up just outliving that, you won't gain as much in terms of cash. It made it a little bit easier to see what item is selected by using a buy station. It fixed the bug where the animation for the player equipping a gas mask mask will interrupt and block players from deploying their parachute, though it hasn't actually adjusted the general animation of putting on or taking off the gas mask, which can still mess up your aim. That's something that maybe we'll see adjusted in the future. It tuned close-up shotgun damage to prevent a single shotgun blast from downing a fully armored player. Stopping power, though, with that can still actually do it, but you won't get those one pumps anymore. It fixed a rare bug that would allow players to equip 2 riot shields if they had 2 different camos, but only one would appear on the player, and fixed various and potential exploits around the world. And Plunder, we saw that players can no longer stack self-revive kits. As well, players that are spectating still get Plunder payouts from contracts, but only at 40% of the value paid to the living players, and it added fixes to help hitching and interacting with cash deposit helos and recon contracts, among other things. Spec Ops had an entire host of changes. You can see them on screen right now just to save you guys some time by listing off every single one. It's just a lot was changed here with Spec Ops. So that closes out the game changes, but what we can wrap up this entire video with is talking about the last final piece added into the featured item of the shop this week, that being the Dragon's Breath caliber conversion pack for 1200 COD points. This gives you the Fire Drake shotgun of the 680, the Jabberwock charm, and the Colossal takedown calling card. Now this comes equipped with attack laser, the no stock attachment, sleight of hand as the weapon perk, the XRK True Grip tactical underbarrel, and then also the Dragon's Breath 6R magazine ammunition modification. So the ones that we just talked about, how it was one of 4 added in, this is now a little bit of a shortcut that you can take to get it if you don't want to simply unlock it via challenge. So again, it is what it is. I don't really care to buy this or buy my way to it. I'm not really going to use the shotguns as is, but that's the shop, and that is the final piece of what was added and updated here with this title update. So that's it. We're going to wrap it up. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think here of this? Good or bad update? Anything you wish would have been changed a little more, a little less? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare. Updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected from outside of YouTube. Practically on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. Minus Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.